Hi, and welcome to the Hibiscus Children's Center show. My name is Paul Sexton. I'm the president and CEO of Hibiscus Children's Center, and I always enjoy the opportunity to talk about what we do to serve children who are abused, abandoned, and neglected, especially here in St. Lucie County and our other operations in Jensen Beach and in Vero Beach. And today I have a guest with me, Lou Boccabella. Lou, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. Often we have an opportunity to talk to our audience about what we do at Hibiscus Children's Center. We've been in this community for over 30 years, serving abused and abandoned kids. Tell us a little bit about your history working with foster children.
Well, I've been working in child welfare on the Treasure Coast for the last 27 years. I started out working for the Department of Children and Families, worked with Children's Home Society, and I've been very fortunate now to work with Hibiscus Children's Center for the past 5 years.
Terrific. So you have a vast knowledge of the foster care system, and as we've mentioned, we've been doing this a long time in our community, but in Vero Beach and Indian River County, we take care of a very specific population of kids. And so can you tell me a little bit about what we're doing at the Village?
Sure. At the Village, we work with children that are 13 to 17 years of age, both boys and girls, and these are children that have been removed from their homes as a result of being abused, neglected, or abandoned. And unfortunately, there's just not enough foster homes that are able to care for these children, so our program is actually an extension of the Florida foster care system. And the children that we work with, again, they come to us as a result of the trauma that they've suffered, and we're able to work with them in various stages in terms of providing therapy, providing opportunities educationally, and also providing independent living skills for them while helping them grow in a safe and nurturing environment.
Okay. So the Village is located in Vero Beach. Tell us about the campus. I understand it's a campus kind of setting, but our audience may not understand exactly what that means. I get it that we're taking care of children 13 to 17-year-old, but exactly what does that look like?
Sure. On our campus, we have a total of 8 houses. And we have 2 houses that serve as assessment homes for children when they first come into our program. Gives us an opportunity to assess their needs and to see whether or not they would be suitable for our program. In addition, we have homes that are group homes, where we have live-in group home parents that are with us for 5 days a week. They work with these children just like any parent would work with their child. They're able to provide all of the services for the children. They take them to and from appointments. They help them cook. They help them with independent living skills. They monitor their behaviors. They serve as their parent. So we have houses for boys and girls, 3 for boys, 3 for girls. And we also have on our campus a home that serves as a center for our therapists, our psychiatrists, our career pathways program, and also for our educational liaison, who works with each of the children to get them acclimated into the school system in Indian River County.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we do more than just house children. They're not simply just sleeping and eating. There's a whole lot going on. We've got a lot of professionals surrounding these kids. Now, when I think about the foster care system, it's easy. My mind always gravitates towards that little 2-year-old and how cute they are and how easy it would be to adopt that 2-year-old. But you're dealing with a very different population. And what are the challenges associated with that age group, especially when you think about someone who might decide to adopt an older child?
Right. And when you think about the children that we're working with, you know, typically you have issues that any teenager regarding whether or not they're in the foster care system or they're residing at home with their family would endure, you know, typical teenage issues. But when you compose all the other facts and look at everything that they've been through, the trauma that they've sustained, various movements to different foster homes or different group home settings, there's a lot of trauma that these children are dealing with that we're trying to help them overcome. So through all the services that we have on our campus with our therapy, we're very fortunate that we have therapists that are Hibiscus employees on our campus. So at any given moment, if there's a crisis or an intervention or a child just needs to speak with someone, in addition to our regular staff, we have therapists on site that are able to work with these children in a very therapeutic manner.
I understand. So you've mentioned trauma. So I know we have trauma-informed care. So the idea behind trauma-informed care is not only recognizing that the children come to us with trauma, but our staff understand that there are triggers that may reinforce or agitate that trauma that a child's experiencing. Is that right?
That's true. And one of the things that we do is we make sure that our staff are fully aware of the trauma that the children have endured. When the children come to us, we make sure that the staff are going through their case records and their files so that they truly understand what the child's needs are. And like you mentioned, the triggers, so that we're not doing things, saying things, acting a certain way that then may trigger some of the behaviors or some of the past events that these children have endured. So our staff are very well informed, very well trained, and they work exceptionally well with these children. But it is a daily task in terms of making sure that we truly understand the trauma that they've endured.
So the teenagers that come to us, they stay a fair amount of time with us. Can you give our audience an understanding of just how long they might stay with us?
Sure. The children are with us on an average of about 6 months, and we have worked with many children that have been with us for up to 4 years. And this past year, we had a total of 10 children that graduated from high school, and out of those 10 children, 3 of those children had been with us for a total of 4 years.
Wow.
So watching them mature and learn and grow from the time that they came to us and what we've been able to do with them at our program, and then also seeing them be very successful in the school system, and now they're going to be starting college. The children are working well, not only within the program, but also within the community as a result of all of the services that we're able to provide for them.
Wow. So our staff really does serve as mom and dad for these kids. But more than that, we've got the therapeutic supports that surround these children. Our audience may not fully understand, since we're talking about the village, and the village is located in Indian River County, and our audience is a St. Lucie County audience. So where's the connection between what you do at the village in Indian River County and the St. Lucie County community?
Okay. All of the children that we have come to us as a result of being referred to us by local CBCs or CBCs outside of the Treasure Coast. Devereaux serves as the CBC here, serving the Martin County, Indian River County, St. Lucie County, and Okeechobee County. And any of the children that are removed from their homes because they're being abused, neglected, or abandoned, if they fall into that criteria of being 13 to 17, they're referred to us. So we have many children from St. Lucie County that we're working with at the village. So when you look at the composition of the children that we have at the village, we have many children from St. Lucie, Martin, Okeechobee, and Indian River. So we're able to serve the Treasure Coast needs.
That's terrific. Now, you mentioned CBC. I would guess there's many in our audience who don't know what CBC means. So exactly what is that?
Community-based care. And there are community-based care organizations throughout the state that assume responsibility to make sure that the children in those counties are receiving the services that they need. And the CBC agency that serves the Treasure Coast is Devereaux, and they're located down in Port St. Lucie, and they also provide case management services in St. Lucie County.
Yeah, and so the idea is community-based care is all about the belief that as much as possible, we want to keep kids in their local communities, so that when we're serving as their mom and dad, as an example, they also have an opportunity to stay connected with their families in the community, so that we don't move them out of their regional area so that they lose supports from their local family.
And that is so true, because we want to minimize the trauma that they've endured. If you think about the trauma, not only with the abuse and neglect, but now also being removed from everything that they've known, their family, school, friends, churches, their neighborhoods, trying to keep them located in an environment that is going to be safe and nurturing, as well as giving them that accessibility back to family members, friends, church, school. Keeping them and reducing the trauma that they're enduring is very important.
Now, one of the things I've always been very interested in and excited about for the village and our teenage population is it's great that we've got a group home setting, and it can feel a little bit like home to them. And it's great that we're doing things to get them back up to an educational level that'll help them graduate from high school. But you've got a pretty interesting program that started some years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
The name of the program is Career Pathways, and we were very fortunate back in 2011 to receive a grant from Impact 100 up in Indian River County. And through the grant, we were able to develop a program that addresses the educational needs as well as the independent living skills that the children need to learn prior to them turning 18 and moving out into the community, as well as giving them opportunities for career orientation and career advancement.
Great. So I know you and I have talked about this before. You've used examples like teaching a kid to boil water. That seems so simple, and yet the other side of the spectrum is maybe preparing them for how to interview successfully. Walk us through that kind of transition.
The children are involved in career pathways through various stages. All the children, like I had mentioned before, 13 to 17, are enrolled in career pathways once they come to our campus. And at various stages, they go through various types of groups, seminars, different types of learning processes to prepare them for when they turn 18 and they're going to be living on their own. So through some of the things that you've just mentioned, interviewing techniques, how to boil water, how do you make an egg, how do you fold clothes, how do you do laundry, all the different things that they would normally be learning at home in terms of growing up and gaining all of these responsibilities and understanding what they need to do are the things that we wind up teaching them. We have staff that not only work with them in the home, but we have career pathways staff that work with them to provide them all of the skills, techniques, the knowledge that they need to become successful. And through our program, we're very fortunate that we're able to offer the children various types of internship opportunities throughout the community. We have partnership agreements and collaborations with about 25 different businesses and agencies in Indian River County that provide the children with opportunities to have internships in careers or jobs that they're very interested in. So when a child comes to us, we'll sit down and speak with them and find out what their career goals are. Going to college, whether or not they have an interest in some type of trade, if they're interested in becoming a doctor, a lawyer, a real estate agent. And what we do is we wind up placing them in those settings so that they get the experience and the understanding of what it takes to then become involved in that career.
So we've been doing this since 2011, and that was really spearheaded by an opportunity we had with Impact 100. My guess is that many in our audience don't know what Impact 100 is, and so I'll start it and you can fill in the gaps. But this is a group of women in a given community. In this particular case, it happened to be Indian River County, who all donated $1,000. And so tell us a little bit about that group.
The group, like you said, is comprised of women throughout the community, and this is something that is taking place throughout our country in various communities. And we're very fortunate that the group up in Indian River County was able to help us start the Career Pathways program. And each of the women donate $1,000, and none of the money is retained for any administrative cost. All of the money that they receive is then given back to the community through grants. So the reason why it's called Impact 100 is that each of the grants that are awarded are given in the amounts of $100,000.
Wow.
So back in 2011, to kick off this program, to get it initiated, we were the recipients of a $100,000 grant.
So that served as the seed money to start the Career Pathways program, and then our responsibility was to then make that program sustainable. So we're not getting $100,000 every year since 2011 to run the program. That was a startup fee.
Exactly. And the program is strictly funded through grants and donations. So the money that we're gaining through all of our fundraising events, donations that we're receiving from individuals, and the grants that we're writing to various foundations is what is used to support that program.
That's pretty neat. Now I want to talk about Impact 100 a little bit more, but I want to kind of go back to something. You know, is it just you and your staff that are doing this work at the village? I mean, we're not doing this alone, are we? Are there volunteer opportunities? Are there community supports to help us get our mission done at the village?
Yes, there are. And we are very fortunate that we have about 195 volunteers that work with us in various capacities throughout the year. We have individuals that come and mentor. They come and they cook for the children. They do arts and crafts. They do tutoring for the children. So if anyone is interested in becoming a volunteer, we have ample opportunity for them, and it is something that is really received very well by the children. They really welcome the volunteers. They really work well with them, and it's something that gives the children something to look forward to, because like I've mentioned, we have arts and crafts and we have other activities, and many of the children look forward to the Saturdays or the Wednesday evenings when they're able to partake in those different activities that are performed by the volunteers.
I'd like to peel this back just a little bit further when I think about little kids and I think about volunteering, it's easy to get your mind around, I'm going to go and I'm going to maybe rock an infant to sleep, or I'm going to, go play around a swing set with a 4-year-old, and it just seems easy. But, I think the general population has a view of teenagers, as you said earlier, teenagers are just tough anyways. But when you overlay traumatic experiences on their lives, this is a very challenging job to reach a teenager who's lost a lot of hope, doesn't believe there's anybody who cares for them. And that really is difficult to kind of re-engineer how they think.
It is very challenging, but by showing the children that you're there to support them, that you're there to help them, that you understand what they've endured, they do wind up eventually opening up. And it does take some time, and we do speak with our volunteers when they come in and let them know that, some of them may not be the warm and fuzzy children that they're anticipating. It could take some time for the children to open up to them. But with the constant working and the reassurance and the support, it's very interesting to watch how these children respond to that. Because in most cases, some of these children have never had someone that really cared about them, someone that loved them, someone that was consistent in terms of coming. They've had a lot of disappointment in their lives. Adults making promises to them, simple promises like, I'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Right.
And 8 o'clock comes the next day and the person is not there. So we make sure that our volunteers understand that it is challenging. These are not typical teenagers. And the fact that if they are committed, that they really need to make sure that they are there for the children, because it's something that the children really do look forward to.
Right, exactly. Well, let's get back to that Impact 100. So, I'm going to start a little bit about my experience with Impact 100. I'm super excited to be a part of this. So there were 439 women, from my understanding, who all donated $1,000 for Impact 100, which means there were 4 $100,000 grant opportunities, and we applied for one of those opportunities, didn't we?
We did, and like you said, it was tremendous in terms of the number of people that were involved, 439 women. So there was $439,000 available, and I think that's the most that they've ever had, and it's just incredible, again, that they are able to give back to the community without doing anything for their own administration. So we applied for a grant, and the grant is a transformational project. We're looking at some social innovation projects that are going to benefit the children, not only while they're at the village, but when they wind up turning 18 and they leave the village, providing them an opportunity for them to come back and actually have a job. So the ideas that we had a lot of different ideas, and we then finally honed down to developing a graphic design center. And this is going to give the children an opportunity to learn all of the nuances about graphic design, working with computers, doing layouts, doing different types of production assignments. So then that way they have the skills that they need to move on to the next level, whether or not they want to pursue graphic design in college, or whether or not it's something that they want to then just move on and work with a graphic design company down the line. And like I've mentioned earlier, we have a lot of collaborative agreements with different businesses and agencies, and some of them are the trades that the children are interested in, whether or not it's woodworking, plumbing, electrical work, and all of those trades are necessary and they're very important. And we wanted to do something where we gave some children an opportunity to possibly work in like a white-collar type of position,
right,
not necessarily having to go to college.
Right.
And by looking at all of the opportunities that we thought that the children would be interested in, this was something that we felt would be very good for the children, simply because many children are creative.
Right.
Many children have the skills and the abilities to work behind a computer. They love to design things. They love to create. And this is something that would then give them that opportunity to learn a trade or learn a career, and then see how they want to take it from that point forward.
That's great. Now, you mentioned earlier that it was a transformative type of social innovation idea. So the transformation really took on 3 prongs. The first is, just like you said, instead of assuming that our kids are either going to go to college or they're going to end up possibly in more blue-collar jobs, and there's nothing wrong with blue-collar jobs at all, but this really gives them exposure to more high-paying jobs in the graphic design industry. So I think that's very transformational. The second part has to do with a term that I've always disliked in the foster care system, and it's that aging out. What does aging out mean, and And once you explain that to our audience, why is this program, our Graphic Design Impact Center, transformational for people that are aging out?
Okay. Our program is designed to work with children that are 13 to 17. So on their 18th birthday, they are no longer able to be at the village. So they wind up leaving the village. The term aging out, they've aged out of the program.
Right.
The children are still able to be involved in the foster care system. Florida has legislation that allows children to remain in the foster care system up until the age of 21. But the way that we envision this program is that while the child is at the village and they're going through a graphic design program, that the day that they turn 18, we have a party, congratulate them, and say it happens on a Friday, their birthday is on a Friday. When they're leaving Friday to now go to their new residence, we tell them, hey, make sure you're back here on Monday morning, 9 o'clock. You have that job at the Graphic Design Center.
Right.
So we're able to work with them continuing beyond their 18th birthday. And I agree, aging out is not a good term to use. It just, makes it sound like it's so much worse that they're now leaving, they're out of the system. But
Right.
This is a way to actually keep them involved and keep them in a situation where they're learning and they're getting that nurturing and they're getting that encouragement to move forward, to continue their career and to move on to other things.
Right, and it increases our ability to have that continuity of care once they've moved on to adulthood. And so the third transformational component of this is, so if the first component is teaching our kids while we have them in our care a competitive white-collar type of job that can be lucrative for them. And if the second prong is making sure that we don't abandon them once they turn 18 and they go out into adulthood, we keep that continuity of care. The third prong, the one that I like, is really about that social sustainability model. And that's really about us finding a way to have our graphic design company not only provide a job for these kids, but for, as an organization, for us to generate revenue that we can then turn back into our program. So we're less dependent on federal funding, or we're less dependent on donations. As much as we like people to donate, we want to stand up and be self-sustaining. Is that a good way to put it?
It is a good way to put it. And it's also a great teaching model for the children to show that they need to do something to become sustainable. They need to be able to do a job. They need to be able to do something that's going to generate revenue, generate income. So then that way they're able to sustain themselves and stand up on their own 2 feet. And as an agency, like you said, we are very fortunate that we receive a lot of grants and donations through the communities and the foundations that we work with. But it would be wonderful if we were able to do something that's going to help us generate revenue that we could turn back into our program. So then that way we may still need some assistance, but some of those dollars that are now available through the communities and the foundations can then be used for other agencies to provide services to other children and families that are in need.
Yeah, this is exciting. Well, Lou, thank you so much for being here today to talk about serving teenagers who need our services, kids who've been abandoned, abused, and neglected, and for sharing all these exciting opportunities to be very, very creative in the way we serve these children. I hope that you've learned a lot about what we do with this particular population at Hibiscus Children's Center. As a reminder, we serve children 0 to 12 years of age in Jensen Beach. We have a clinical program in St. Lucie County where we serve hundreds of children every month. And then certainly in Indian River County under Lou's leadership, we serve that teenage population from 13 to 17 years of age. We're super excited that we're in this community and that we have an opportunity to give back. We hope that you've learned something about what we do, and we hope that you'll partner with us. We have many volunteer opportunities, and as we've said, we're certainly open to having people who want to support us financially. So if you're interested, please look us up on our website at hibiscuschildrencenter.org, and we thank you for allowing us to serve you.